Hi, I'm going to read from my book Boys Don't Cry, and this is the first chapter. And in this chapter, Dante is waiting for his A-level results, and the doorbell rings, but it's not the postman, it's Melanie. I stared at her. It took a couple of seconds to register the fact that she wasn't alone. I stared down at the contents of the buggy beside her. "Hello, Dante." I didn't say a word. The baby in the buggy had all my attention. "Can I come in?" Yeah, of course." I stepped to one side. Melanie wheeled the buggy past me into the hallway. I closed the door behind her, frowning. She stood in the hallway, biting the corner of her bottom lip. She watched me expectantly, like an actress waiting for her cue. But she knew where the sitting room was. She'd been here before. "Go through," I indicated the open sitting room door. Following her, my thoughts flitted like dancing bees. What was she doing here? I hadn't seen her in... It had to be well over a year and a half. What does she want? "Are you babysitting?" I pointed to the bundle in the buggy. "Yeah, you could say that," Melanie said, looking at the many family photos Dad had placed on the windowsill around the room. Some were of me, more were of Adam, most were of my mum. But none were of her during that last year before she died. I remember that Dad wanted to take some. He was always taking photos, but Mum wouldn't let him. Whilst Melanie was looking at the photos, I used the opportunity to eye her. She looked the same as ever, maybe a little slimmer, but that was all. "What's its name?" "Her name is Emma." "Do you want to hold her?" "No, no thank you." The words came out in a panicked rush. Was Melanie barking mad or what? No way did I want to hold a baby. "Shh, she's fallen asleep," Melanie whispered. She placed the baby back in its buggy, and she was so gentle the baby didn't even stir once. Melanie straightened up, biting repeatedly at one side of her bottom lip. I remained seated. Abruptly, as if deciding something on the spur of the moment, Melanie dug into her oversized baby bag and withdrew a folded sheet of beige pink paper. "Read this," she said, thrusting the paper at me. Sorry, can I start that bit again?
Yes.
"Shh, she's fallen asleep," Melanie whispered. She placed the baby back in its buggy, and she was so gentle the baby didn't stir once. Melanie straightened up, biting repeatedly at the side of her bottom lip. I remained seated. Abruptly, as if deciding something on the spur of the moment, Melanie dug into her oversized baby bag and withdrew a folded sheet of beige pink paper. "Read this," she said, thrusting the paper at me. I hesitated. "What is it?" "Read it." Frowning, I took it from her unresisting hand and unfolded it. "Certified copy of an entry pursuant to the Births and Deaths Registration Act 1953. A birth certificate. Why would Melanie think I'd be interested? I scanned down the piece of paper. Child, Emma Cassandra Angelina Dyson. Mother, Melanie Marie Dyson. The father. The place for the father was blank. I stared at her. You're the baby's mother." Melanie nodded slowly. "Dante, I don't know how to say this without just saying it." She didn't have to say anything. The birth certificate explained so much and said so little. Melanie had a baby. She was a mum. I had trouble taking it in. Melanie was my age, and she had a kid. "Dante, I need to tell you something. Mel wasn't even 19 yet. How could she have been stupid enough to have a kid at our age? Hadn't she ever heard of the pill? Kids were for people in their late 30s who had mortgages and steady jobs and serious savings in the bank. Kids were for those sad people who didn't have anything else to do with their lives." "Dante, are you listening?" "Huh?" I was still trying to wrap my head around the fact that Melanie was a mum. Melanie took a deep breath, closely followed by another. "Dante, you're the dad. Emma is our daughter."